Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. We are international. We are amazing. All right, we're okay. But you get both of us. My name is stevezapf. With me, as always, my tag team partner, my partner in crime, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How you doing today, Mike?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream. And, we're just doing our best here. That's the best we can do.
We're just trying to do our best here. Just doing what we can with what we got. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. There's a lot of wrestling news going on. We have people already crossing over through an imaginary forbidden door. We have some TNA stuff to talk about. Apparently, we know who attacked Mercedes Moné months ago. I don't fully buy this one.
Do we care?
People are starting to talk about Money in the Bank, and we're 2 weeks away from Clash at the Castle. So, real quick, as always, we will throw our shout outs to our nonprofit, Tap Cancer Out. This is a great organization. Again, all of the information for this will be in our description. It is with our social media accounts, everything. But we are helping out with this for a fundraiser. This organization helps out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descents, and Tom Coughlin's J Fund. Folks, as always, please help out with this. Cancer is the one thing that no matter what, me and Showtime always agree about, and that it is probably the worst thing on the planet. It affects so many people. Please help us out with this as best as you can. As I said, all of the fundraising info will be on all of our social media accounts, which all that information, plus the links to the actual fundraising page, will be in our description as always. But with that said,
one thing we agree about, cancer bad.
Cancer's bad. That is it. So with that said, to the wrestling. So, wrestling news. Some big things are happening. NXT, we don't talk about NXT too often, but when they make waves, like they did this week, we got to talk about it. I'm actually going to flip-flop it. First things first, Ethan Page debuts on NXT, already putting himself into the title picture there. Showtime, I know you're not real well-versed on Ethan Page. He hasn't been doing much in AEW since you've been watching. I am an Ethan Page fan. I like his work. I think he cuts a good promo. He has an air of like a bigger MJF about him. And I kind of like that. When he gets fired up, it's a good promo both as a heel and as a face. So I'm really excited about this. I mean, his name is All Ego. He's a good egotistical heel. But also to go along with that, when he gets fired up the right way, you kind of want to cheer for him.
And I didn't double check it before the show, but it sounded like he doesn't actually have a contract. I don't know if you'd heard anything more about that, but he was on NXT last week without a signed contract. So I'm curious if this is more like a free agent falling in here, like some of the things that we're going to talk about later, or if now that he's signed or whatever. I hadn't heard that he actually signed yet.
We'll have to look more into that. I don't have a definite answer on that either, but I do definitely like Ethan Page. I think he is a phenomenal talent, and I'm excited. If they're letting free agents come in, that's actually even more exciting to me.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because that's the talking point there. Like, maybe, like, who knows, maybe Matt Cardona comes in for a one-off thing. Maybe a plethora of people come in for just a one and done that kind of have a name rather than just the job squad. I'm not looking for like a developmental talent that just happens to come in to get squashed. Like some big names that come off for one-offs for little storylines. It could be cool kind of seeing what comes through the door.
So someone else came through the door. Jordan Grace from TNA, the Knockouts champion, is now challenging for the NXT Women's Championship. This is huge. This is huge on a lot of different levels. They are, first of all, not just acknowledging that TNA exists, but letting them come and play in their yard.
And
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for what this does to TNA.
Yeah. I think you're going to start seeing
people,
some TNA talent go, NXT talent going over to TNA.
There are some people who are talking about, there are some people who are talking that they want to head back over there, maybe for at least a one-off or something like that. Drew McIntyre has actually posted something about that, which for anyone who doesn't remember, before Drew got re-signed to the WWE, he was an Impact or TNA World Champion. So this is all kind of big news. I'm really excited about this, though. We've been touting TNA lately, and this is huge for them. This is the punch in the arm that they could need.
Yeah, I want to see what happens next. So it seems like the deal is just with NXT. So don't hold your breath for Drew McIntyre at this point in time. If he makes enough waves, he wants to go down there. I'm sure that they won't stop him once the relationship is humming along. But at this point in time, I think this is just going to be an NXT TNA thing. But this opens it both ways for some real collaboration. And I think this really benefits TNA even more so than NXT. I think it gives NXT access to maybe some more experienced veteran wrestlers. Like, who knows? Like, maybe Frankie Kazarian shows up one day. And that would be great for NXT to kind of get in the ring with him, learn a little bit from that side of things, go down to TNA and maybe have a little storyline here and there. But it brings eyeballs to TNA, which they need, considering they don't really have a real TV network.
Exactly. The eyeballs on TNA is the biggest thing. You know what I'm really hoping? I'm hoping that they let this Nick Nemeth guy go after the NXT title. He reminds me a lot of Dolph Ziggler, who's a former NXT champion. Really want to see that happen.
I'm definitely rooting for Jordan Grace winning the NXT title.
I would very much like to see that. I think that would shake up the landscape a lot.
Like, talk about subverting expectations. Like let's be real, right? She comes in to put over NXT's champion. That's what's probably going to happen. Yeah, like kind of putting them, like, they'll be put on the same level, but WWE doesn't open their doors to let their champions lose. But what if they did? Like, that is talking about a horse of a completely different color. This could be really cool. And if Jordan Grace goes over, I think that allows a lot of collaboration, a lot of back and forth. There could be some cool stuff going on here.
And it's, like you said, a lot of collaboration. There's it's just a lot they could do with this. And I'm so excited about this. Honestly, we've been talking about WWE opening their doors up to people, and every so often you get like a one-off. You get the occasional Jushin Thunder Liger, or you get the occasional Great Muta, or something like that along those lines in WWE. But this seems like this could be, hey, we're gonna keep talking with you guys, and we're gonna let maybe a Frankie Kazarian, or hey, some of these guys that have history there. Hey, we're gonna let Steve Maclin back in the door after he's made all these waves over in TNA and Impact and stuff like that. This could be huge for them. This could be one of those things that puts TNA on a real level with, honestly, AEW.
I could really see the system coming in and making some waves in NXT. Like, have somebody from NXT go down to TNA, and then have the system do a mini takeover of NXT. Like, trust the system. There's a cool storyline in there that I think could really pop. It's going to take a lot, because I don't necessarily think NXT is anywhere close to AEW's level at this moment in time. So the two of them collaborating together isn't going to elevate TNA anywhere close to it at this point in time. I think TNA has a lot of its own issues around production quality, access to the content, terrible fans. Yeah, I'm starting a feud with TNA's fans. because Ohio wasn't much better than Albany. And you know what? Come at me, TNA fans, all 6 of you that decide to go. No, like I don't want to make shots at TNA because they do fill those 5,000 person arenas, and they seem like there's a decent amount of people, which is what makes me angry because they're all just sitting on their hands. Get up, get excited, stop being weak. Boo.
So you were talking about the system coming in. To go along with that, the heavyweight champion Moose wants to go through that door. He wants to work with NXT. He wants to do this stuff. And I think part of this is also Moose isn't the youngest dude in the world either. If you're going to take a chance to really elevate your stardom, this is your opportunity. And for a background story, I would love to see Moose, the TNA world champion, who has a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots, go up against Trick Williams, the NXT champion, the former Philadelphia Eagle. I'd love to see that match. Hey, we get two guys who actually gave their all to the wrestling business after having a really good football career on top of it. Like, this wasn't a one-off. This wasn't Lawrence Taylor having a one-off match with Bam Bam Bigelow, though we love that match. This isn't Steve Mongo McMichael not really doing the best work in the ring. These are two guys who came in and really, really ingratiated themselves into the wrestling lifestyle, the universe of wrestling, if you will. And I would love to see that match. They're two big athletic dudes who can talk. Like, let's do this.
The thing I think excites me the most about this, and I hope this is the way it goes down, is that TNA getting access to the training and like the teachers at NXT, because like let's be real, NXT is a developmental league. Like that's what it's there for. Is to get these younger athletes to a level where they can compete on the main roster. Not everybody makes it. Not everyone transitions well. Whatever, what have you. But since I've been paying a little bit more attention to TNA, and we talked about it, there's quite a few people in TNA who look like they could use a coach. And if that means that this opens up that like a learning, a shared learning, or whatever you want to call that, I think that would go a long way with quite a few of the talent down in TNA, because I was a little disappointed on Impact this week, and I'll get to that in a second. It was okay, it was fine, but some of the guys that were on there with the right tutelage, I think could blow up in a big way.
So I think this could also end up being, to age just a little bit because we're effing old, but this could be very similar to WWE's working agreement with ECW back in the day, whereas WCW was kind of reaping talent away from them. I could see this being more of a WWE working with TNA and like, hey, we have this young talent and we can let you use some of this veteran talent for your NXT product. But also guys like you want to talk about, guys like Ace Austin and Chris Bay and some of these younger talented guys, the Speedball Mike Baileys and whatnot. You get them in there with Shawn Michaels and Fit Finlay and William Regal, and all of a sudden it opens up their wrestling mind to new levels, maybe.
Would you then get banger after banger after banger?
You might get banger after banger after banger. God, I hope so.
Shaves just says that so often. It's just always hanging out in the back of my head, living rent free.
Just chilling there. Just chilling there. So that's the TNA Forbidden Door with WWE. Again, we're very excited about this. I can't wait to see how this moves on a little bit more.
Just tons of possibilities.
Also in wrestling news, so couple big names no longer with AEW. They're actually even taking and they took a few other ones off their page as well. So Arn Anderson, Mark Henry, and Jake Hager, the former Jack Swagger, are all no longer with AEW. Their contracts are up. They expired, whatever it was. There's no renewal. We don't have much on it other than that. The other one that I heard was Paige Van Zant, who is the MMA fighter. She did one or two things with them. And I know it wasn't. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out or how long their contract released for. Obviously, they let her keep fighting for Bare Knuckle and a couple of the other promotions. This is big for me, though, to not have Arn Anderson and Mark Henry, at least. Those are two guys who you could really pick their brain and learn from. And I think that's more where I'm sitting with this on anything. Jake Hager has been used about as horribly as anyone could be. Jake Hager has just been a lackey, followed by a worse lackey, followed by the nameless henchman that Austin Powers kills. That's basically the evolution of Jake Hager in AEW. And for a guy that, for one thing, he's a legitimate 2-time All-American amateur wrestler. That was a shoot. Like, that is what he does. He really won. He was really part of the 2-time All-American team from the University of Oklahoma. And he's like a 4-1 MMA fighter, and his one loss is because he accidentally slipped up and hit like an illegal blow and got disqualified. This is a legitimate tough guy, and a big athletic dude, and you couldn't figure out anything to do with him other than he fought for a purple bucket hat that he was wearing. That was what they did with him. I think Jake Hager, it's better off that he's not there, just for him. I think if he's smart, he focuses on nothing other than MMA at this point. I don't think WWE comes knocking on his door. Unfortunately, I think his reputation is about as tarnished as it can get at this point in the world of pro wrestling. With
Arn Anderson confirmed going to be the manager of Cody Rhodes. Cody said he wanted a manager like that coming in. That's not true. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that. Arn Anderson not re-signing, it sounded like it was his own doing. So he can go spend more time with his son to develop him into a wrestling star. He thinks he has something special with his son. Who'll be the next generation of Anderson in the world of wrestling. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he did see Arn sign some sort of deal with WWE, which would get his son into NXT.
I would be surprised. And if you look at his son, he looks like young Arn. He looks like 1985 Arn Anderson. He looks like Marty Lundy.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of him wrestle as of yet. I know he's done a ton of stuff on the independents. I've seen, maybe I've caught some glancing of his matches, but if he has half the talent of Arn, he'll be fine.
Looks just like him. Mark Henry, they kind of weren't even. I mean, all they used him for was announcing and it was announcing on Rampage. So Mark Henry not being there again, I don't think this is that hurtful for them. I don't think that them losing these people is that terrible. I think if nothing else, I think Arn Anderson is the biggest loss, only because of the coaching status that you can use him for. So that's the biggest loss in my mind, is the Arn Anderson one. Mark Henry saying it's time for the main event isn't that huge of a loss for me, and I don't know how much coaching he was actually doing in the back, or for that matter, how many people were actually listening to him. Which that's a bigger question.
Was Natalia? Am I saying her name right? Neidhart's daughter, right?
Yeah, Natalia Neidhart.
Natalia, was she kind of seeding the return of the Nation of Domination with Mark Henry when she said enough is enough and time for a change?
God, I hope so. That'd be awesome. It would not be awesome, but it'd be
she
something.
Gets to lead the Nation of Domination. That's where The Rock returns to. He doesn't go back to the bloodline.
He doesn't go back to the bloodline. He comes back as part of the Nation of Domination. Oh my God.
Led by Natalia.
We're just flipping the gender reversal. all types of gender reversal, and
that's equal representation. That's
you know
all
what?
it is.
And Natalia running it, it's like super affirmative action.
Right? But her running it, have Mark Henry come in, be a manager. Perfect.
Bring the Rock in. I don't know. I don't know if Ron Simmons has a kid, but bring his kid in.
I'm all about subverting expectations today. They already started it. I'm just going down the path that they're trying.
We're just working with what we got.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. With that said, we've talked about NXT opening up the forbidden door to TNA. We are now going to open up the door to the coverage of TNA. Showtime, I know you were big on this Ace Austin Chris Bay match.
Best match that no one saw.
I'm not surprised. Ace Austin is a gem that people need to start taking notice of. I think he's one of those guys, like you said, is just waiting to get Shawn Michaels hooks in him. Chris Bay is kind of the same thing. Chris Bay is like, in my opinion, Chris Bay is the better version of Carmelo Hayes.
The two of them were fantastic. This match was the perfect pace. They did all the things that you'd want to see in a wrestling match. A couple near falls, going for finishes with a great kind of reversal pin at the very end that you really didn't see coming. Not to spoil too much of it if you haven't seen it, but that's what we do. But this match, definitely worth a watch. It opened up Impact this week. So everyone just run and watch this match. It was fantastic. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. I wish I could have said the rest for the rest of Impact. It was kind of a dud of a mid card. There's a couple matches in there that, they were fine, particularly if you like a certain style of match. I just didn't love it this week. It kind of had me in and out. I will say, the end of it, you had Joe Hendry kind of going up against the System, which was a decent match at the end, with the Nemeth boys coming out to even the numbers. So that was really cool, kind of building up to Slammiversary coming up in a couple weeks, whenever that was.
I think it's another 2 weeks.
It's against all odds, June 14th.
So I believe that's the same weekend that we're doing. June 14th would probably be the same weekend as not Money in the Bank, but Clash at the Castle. Yes,
you had it on the Facebook page.
I did have it on the. So yes, because Clash at the Castle is not this Saturday coming up, the 8th. It is on the 15th. So you'll get Against All Odds on the 14th, followed by Clash at the Castle. Once again, probably a situation where we will have to watch 2 pay-per-views in one weekend.
That's fine. These ones, I'm not worried. The TNA ones don't usually go too long, so it shouldn't be too much.
No, they're not 4.5 hours with an hour and a half pre-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, by the way, AEW, that was a shot fired, just so you know.
But the main event this week of Impact, it was good. It was worth a watch. They're really pushing Hendry and Nemeth and the Nemeth boys to take down the System. Curious how it's going to go down. I know that Matt Hardy still has a match, I believe, against Moose, and that's Against All Odds as well. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Joe Hendry at Against All Odds. We'll see kind of where that works out. I'm sure that they'll do something with him. All of the members of the System are taken, so he's going to have to fight somebody.
You will see who he gets. All right.
You should have done that in the Matt Hardy voice. That would have been better.
That's fair.
Broken Matt Hardy. Delete.
So that's TNA. Not again. We spent a little bit of time on TNA. I still think TNA has at least a watchable product. I enjoy getting in for TNA because out of 2 hours of Impact, you probably get 1 or 2 really good matches in there that you can really sink your teeth into, especially if you're looking to watch just decent pro wrestling.
Yeah, I've been good the last couple of weeks of including that into my viewing agenda. And this was the worst one so far. It was still quite serviceable. I will say, if you're used to WWE, used to AEW, The production quality takes a second to get used to. But once you power through that and you stop paying attention to how lame the fans are, yeah, that's right. I'm still taking shots.
Still, he's just feuding with the TNA fans.
It's fine. You can boo me. I'll be super heel for you guys. But once you get past that and actually lean into the matches, there's a lot of decent matches. There's a few really cool storylines going on in here too.
So moving on from TNA, we are now into AEW. Found out allegedly Sky Blue attacked Mercedes Monet. I'm sorry, I almost said Mercedes Martinez. That is not who she attacked. Wrong wrestler. I apologize. The Mercedes Monet, the new TBS champion, and apparently this is now setting up for later in the evening on Dynamite. Sky Blue versus Mercedes Monet in her first title defense. I don't buy this, or if I do buy this, it's she was paid off by Stokely or something along those lines. I don't believe that this is the blow-off they were looking for this, and if it is the blow-off they were looking for, they missed the mark on this.
Here's what I think happened. I think they were pushing Mercedes to be a face, had her get jumped, and there was going to be more of this throughout the build-up to her fighting Willow. They changed their mind because Mercedes was definitely the heel in the match against Willow. Forgot about it. Heard all the flack that they were getting from people like ourselves, because obviously they're listening, and said, oh, well, we better quickly tie out that loose end without talking about it at all over the next couple weeks. Because that attack, even if this is what they planned or whatever, or there's another little twist to go along with this, you can't go this long without mentioning it again or really acknowledging it whatsoever. So when you go back to this, it just is insignificant. I think they had to tie it up with a little bow, or they thought they did, because as soon as the match with Willow was over, it feels like Mercedes is a face again. So they're just kind of bouncing around back and forth.
I feel like in general, this the last week and a half or so, AEW's been kind of trying to tie up and blowing off some storylines. The whole MJF brainbustering Adam Cole to kind of kill off the Devil storyline. This now it's almost like, hey, this is our way of sweeping it under the rug a little bit. Like, we get it. We should have covered this more, and now we're not, and we're not going to. So here's your answer.
You got your answer. Here it is. Let's move on.
We're sorry you don't like this answer. Well, you know what? I don't like this answer.
I didn't really like the question.
That's true. I didn't like the question to begin with. Moving on from that, we get another AEW title getting vacated. Adam Copeland, during his match with Malachi Black, broke his tibia when he jumped off the top of the barbed wire steel cage. Yes, that's right. I did say that. Barbed wire steel cage. He did not break it on the barbed wire. He broke it on the landing and had to have surgery for it. So they had to vacate the title. This vacating of the title makes sense to me, because he's not going to be wrestling, honestly, at this point, probably for the rest of the year.
Maybe the rest of his life, man. Like, this is such a hard thing at his age to come back from. We didn't cover this in the coverage of Double or Nothing because we didn't know yet. We kind of came, I think it came out last Wednesday. We record this on Tuesday nights. So we didn't know that was what happened. We knew it was kind of a nasty spot. We kind of just glazed over it because it seemed almost like a little bit of a botched spot where he hit the ground and then hit an elbow, but we were just kind of moving on because there's other things to talk about. But yeah, he jumped off the top of that cage, landed on his feet, and broke his leg. That's a gruesome injury. And then, like the maniac he is, he finished that match without even he limped off. But there was still a decent amount of time after that match.
There was definitely a lot of time left. because that was that. It almost makes it seem like the spot with Gangrel with that was planned like on the fly, because
Yeah,
you needed that time to get over to finish everything, and thank God he was out there. And don't forget, he did the standing hug with Gangrel at the end. He still kind
he
of walked off
finished
like
that match.
he had a little bit of people around him to make sure that he was able to, make it up the ramp. But I'm sure once that adrenaline died off, he was hurting.
Yeah,
Probably
I
hurting
never know
before
how
that.
to. I never know how to handle this, because I think these guys take a ton of abuse, and I think that they should take better care of themselves, because I don't want the same past, the same future as our past of looking at all these wrestlers who just they're not with us anymore because of what they do to their bodies. But at the same time, I have so much respect for him finishing that match and being just an absolute boss in this situation. Like I don't know the right way to respond to it, but either way, that was I'm flabbergasted. I feel like I'm rambling now because I'm so impressed with how he could finish that.
So I am going to I'm going to throw this out there, because a lot of times I'm the guy who, when something bad happens like this at AEW, I knock them. Here's the thing. I obviously don't ever want anyone to get hurt. But Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever name you want to give him, the rated R superstar, did this on a major pay-per-view in a big money match. There's a huge difference between him jumping off the top of a cage during one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year and him doing it on Dynamite on Wednesday, on a random Wednesday in, let's say, June. I'm not saying that it helps him with his surgery or anything like that, but at least this was one of those situations where he did it in the middle of a payday and a middle of a situation that could build the company. The other part that I'd like to say is I'm upset he's hurt. I don't want Adam Copeland to ever get hurt. I've always been a fan of his. This is the best scenario for him to lose that title, because he didn't need that title. And there was no one that was feasible at that level to take that title off of him. If they weren't going to give it to Malachi Black in that match, I don't know who they were going to use to take the title off of him. And this seems, though it's an extreme situation where he is obviously truly injured, an injury angle was the only way that they were going to be able to get this belt off of him without ruining any mystique around him at this point. So, quick recovery. Please, please, please be okay. Hopefully we get at least one more match, because we're deserved one more him and Christian match, or him and Christian as a tag team. I'm hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful that maybe Christian goes away for a little bit, and by the time Copeland is okay, they just come back as a babyface tag team at this point. So
Yeah, I don't want to add except for obviously speedy recovery.
Speedy recovery. Moving on from that, to go along with that storyline, the Elite came out to mention or to take care of the situation with the TNT title. They tried to hand the title belt to Jack Perry, and our boy Christopher Daniels.
Oh my God,
out.
it's Christopher Daniels.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I was a week late on him interviewing with something with the Elite. I said it was going to happen at Double or Nothing. I'm sorry, It happened at Dynamite a couple days later. And he is now the interim executive vice president. Which is weird, because he's basically the voice of Tony Khan, but Tony Khan is also making matches through Tony Schiavone's ear. So, are you there? Are you not there? It gets a little murky in that water.
I'm confustated.
I'm very confustated.
I'm confustated. I don't I don't get it. Like, if Tony is there, isn't he in charge? Like he was in charge a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever, before this elite angle started. I dig this elite angle. I think the elite angle is the best angle that they have going in TNA, and I don't think it's arguable. I don't even think it's close either. And I really want to like it more, but then you muddy the waters with stuff like this. And like, why isn't it Kenny Omega? Is it because Kenny Omega is getting surgery right now, or is he still in that hospital bed that he's in? The
medical facility, sir.
Not,
medical facility.
Sure. Like it's just. I've talked about this in the past. In professional wrestling, like any other form of entertainment, movies and stuff, this stuff is believable because you set parameters, you set rules for me. If Captain America starts flying tomorrow, I'm going to be like, this is ridiculous. Not because he's a super soldier that has a destructible shield that he can throw and somehow it comes back to him like a boomerang, but because that is what happens with him. But he can't fly. That's what the problem is here. There is no rules. There are no parameters for me to understand this story that they're trying to do. I think that's their biggest problem in AEW in general, is because they don't set these parameters. Tony gone, EVP's in charge. Great. Tony be gone. Like it's as simple as that. Tony's back. But Christopher Daniels is an honorary EVP,
now,
not.
I just want to point out, if you're going to have someone if you're going to have someone do that role, Christopher Daniels is perfect for this.
Wonderful.
He's perfect.
I want to see more Christopher Daniels on the TV. I want to see that. But how does his EVP privileges outshine the Young Bucks?
The Bucks, and also if Tony's there. And that's the thing. On the same show, you've got Tony Khan in Tony Schiavone's ear saying that the Mercedes Moné and Sky Blue match is going to happen. This is where the problems come in. Is you're trying to give us the storyline that we want, and I'm again told you I'm going to be nicer about this. They're trying to give us what we want.
100%.
This is what I've been saying though about this is Tony Khan or AEW. I'm sorry, though they are experiencing the growing pains of trying to give us now these storylines that we want. The issue is they are not where they should be as a 4 to 5 year old company. They're still almost at the base level for these storylines now, and what we're expecting from a company that's been around for 4 or 5 years. We're not there. We should be. Well, we should be much further along.
This storyline's it, right? Like the Young Bucks trying to give Jack Perry the title is the perfect move, right? Like that is exactly what they should be doing. Let's pretend like Tony Khan's not there because, like, sure, we've already established that they have these phantom powers that can do whatever they want, and so them giving Jack Perry the title was the perfect move. I love that they just handed it over to him, and then they were stopped. It should have been by Tony Khan, like even just on the big screen, being like, "You guys don't have those powers anymore. I'm gonna set this stuff up." Instead, we get Christopher Daniels. I like even if they could have just given Christopher Daniels a different title as well. I think that might have smoothed this over. Like he's the commissioner, general manager, something. Yeah. And he supersedes the EVPs.
So, and that would have been
this
good.
New, more ironclad contract.
And it would have been good if it was a situation where, like you said, where if Tony comes on the big screen and says, "I unfortunately will not be able to be at tapings or at television anymore because of the beating that was given to me," we can sell that. We can sell that idea. You got beat up. The problem with that is he was also at Double or Nothing. And then he also drove Darby in to hand him the flamethrower.
But even then, I'm relinquishing some of my power in order to keep myself safe. You guys, TK drivered me. You threw me out at Double or Nothing in the middle of the rampway where I could have gotten burned and hurt. I am not a performer. I am not a wrestler. I am not a fighter. I cannot be putting myself in these situations. I will have some backstage area responsibilities, but these calls are now coming down from my GM, my commissioner, my fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Well, and
then you're set.
He could also say it as, because of my personal feelings in the matter, I need to be taken out of this because these decisions need to be made for business and not for personal reasons, which I could also see that one going.
So many ways. There's so many ways you can set the parameters, you can set the rules. So now I know, and now I understand what means what. Up is down, down is right, whatever.
And the problem is none of those none of them were done. None of them. We didn't do any of those.
It's all murky. Everyone has the same title. I don't know why Christopher Daniels can tell the Young Bucks to shove off. Tony, like, it's just a hot mess.
It's, again,
and I've been very nice to TNA, AEW in the previous weeks. I'm giving them the leash. I really am rooting for them to be successful. Not that you're not rooting for them to be successful, but I've just been much more positive around this. This whole tangled web that they wove is really, it's
hard to get. This is going to be a situation where it might be hard to get out of, or hard to get out of.
It's confuscating.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get out of in a way that makes sense. But we now get eliminator matches, qualifying matches for a TNT ladder match. This sounds like a whole lot of jamokes sitting on the outside of a ring while people are doing other moves. But we'll get a new TNT champion. We've said that there's a couple people that we would like. Takeshita is one of those guys that I would love to get that TNT title, except for he just got beat by a one-armed man.
That's fine. He's going to be a world beater tomorrow.
There's that. It's fine. No, Will Ospreay's going to win that too so that he can get something else. So moving on from that, we have Will Ospreay wins the gauntlet to be the number one contender for the AEW World title. I'm sighing, and I'm sorry. Showtime, you got something nice to say about this one?
I do. I think I figured it out, or at least
explain it to me. We've known each other a long time. Please explain. Explain it to me in terms that I can understand, so that I understand it. And if it works, I'll go along with you, because I don't understand it right now.
I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but this is how this makes sense. There's too many titles in AEW.
I was really hoping you were going to say
have champion versus champion. You're going to merge the titles. The world title, the international, is that what's called? International title?
International title.
And the world title become one title. The unified Grand Galaxy awesome
which also
title,
gives them an opportunity to make a new belt, because they love bringing in brand new title belts.
But Ospreay won't wear three of them. He'll just wear one of them. And
he'll just have one belt, but it'll be one unified world title that is a brand new title that has never been seen on AEW, because they've already gone through three.
Sure. But hey, pump the brakes. This makes sense. This is the only thing in my mind that really makes this make sense, is to eliminate the title at this point in time. Because I keep forgetting, what title does Okada have?
The Continental, the Continental Classic title. Continental Classic,
which
yes.
Never gets defended. So like, if you have that title, you have the TNT title, and then you have a world title. That really does help in like narrowing down the singles titles and figuring out what you can do with each one of them. So that makes sense in my mind. Otherwise, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, if you're just going to break, like, this is just them to swerve off. Like, I don't know. What I really want to say, I know I was a little dodgy about it earlier, but now I know that's not going to happen. I really like this angle going into a lot of this stuff, and they still could do it. That's why I think I'm begging for it now in what I call the Prince and the Pauper storyline, where you have Okada kind of given the silver spoon.
Well, they just gave him a
the
Ferrari
silver tray. Yeah,
or
like,
Lamborghini
give him
or
everything
something.
he wants. You let him in your crew with the elite. You give him every opportunity to succeed, and then you do the exact opposite with Ospreay. He is like the street London urchin kind of person. You tell him you can't just come in here and get title shots and get these things. You have to earn it here. You have to work from the bottom and work your way up. Figure out a way to take the international title off of him. Figure out a way to get him at the bottom and have to beat literally the world to get him in a position to get the world title shot. Like if the elite can do that kind of swerve, and like I had mentioned, I think last week, where you also get Swerve into the elite begrudgingly. Like I don't want him to be a heel. I don't want him to be a part of that team. But this is like their way of being like, well, we couldn't get Christian Cage to take the title off of Swerve. So now let's just bring Swerve into our ranks, and he'll be our friend. And you can just see he's like kind of a prisoner of it, because if he doesn't join them, they set up like 2-on-1 matches for the title. They set up such situations where he knows he might come out on top on some of these odds stacked against him for a short term, but there's no way he can keep up with it. No human will be able to keep up with the stuff that they're throwing at them. And that really rounds out the elite storyline, the Ospreay storyline, where both of them are really humming, and you have a long-term storytelling where you finally have Swerve get off that the elite bandwagon. He joins Ospreay in a nice tag, maybe bring FTR back in, so I guess they can lose. And so, like in that situation, all of that makes sense. That feels like a really big, powerful storyline in this place that they can really tie a lot of strings together and give you more time to focus on these stories and blow them out, rather than feeling like there's a one-off here, a one-off here, one-off there, and really have that be the Dynamite storyline that we really care about.
Here's my question. This is my main question. I don't disagree with what you just said at all, including the unification of the titles. If you're going to do this as a unification of the titles, then yes, I'm all for this. I think that's a great idea.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
It's the only thing that makes sense. With that said, we just said this is the only thing that makes sense. The amount that we just talked before this about how much the Waters are getting money. Do you think this is what they do, though? I'm not saying if it's the only thing that makes sense.
I said that's what I said earlier. I'm not saying this is what I think is going to happen, but this is, you asked for help me make this make sense, and that's what I did for you, bud. You asked me to do something for you, and I'll always do it.
I appreciate that. Like I said, what you just said makes sense. I don't think this is what they're going to do. I'm going to try to refrain myself to one or two rants on this show, as opposed to like the 3 I have myself scheduled for already. It's once again, I'm confused.
It's an interesting point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is? I don't understand it. He just won the damn title, and what's more is the second he got into this match, he's the only guy other than Claudio that made sense for him to win, and Claudio doesn't make any sense because Claudio hasn't won a damn thing.
And Orange Cassidy.
But I want to believe that Orange Cassidy didn't make any sense to win this match.
Yeah, no, you don't give him his due. But I actually think Orange Cassidy versus Swerve would have been a good match. So, like, that one could have been in. But the minute
except for the fact that they're both massive baby faces. I mean, but we have 2 other massive baby faces. Again, the 3 people that were involved in this match that it could have made sense for them to win are all huge baby faces against your babyface champion.
How was Joe not in this match?
How was Samoa Joe not in this match?
How was Jack Perry and Okada not in this match?
How was
Roderick Strong not in this match?
How was Jericho not in this match?
Jinx.
How was Big Bill not in this match? If Jericho's not in this match because he's the FTW champion, how is Big Bill at least not in this match?
Yep.
How is no
there's-
one from the Undisputed Kingdom in this match? I know you said Roderick Strong, but like, how are they not in this match? How is Kyle O'Reilly not in this match?
He was supposed to be in the match.
That's what I'm saying. Is how were all of these people? How were the guys that are actually in the number one contendership? How is Bryan Danielson not in this match?
Bryan Danielson.
How is Moxley not in this match? Other than the fact that he's the IWGP champion and he's
I get Moxley not. That's the first name you said where I understand why he's not in the match.
And he's got one arm. But they pulled all these guys out from international companies. Guys like Mystico, formerly known as Sin Cara, for those of you who are wondering, who look good. But they didn't give any promo package as to who some of these people are. You're just expected to know who they are.
Yeah.
You're expected to know who Mystico is. They had someone who came in at the end, and I'm a wrestling guy. I'm in with more international stuff than you are, Showtime, and I had no idea who they were. But they're like, oh, he's this master submission technician in Mexico. And I went, cool. Who is he?
Do you know who just made an epic return that probably should have been in this match? MJF.
Oh, not the guy with the broken ankle.
Not the guy who's not cleared to wrestle right now. But the one who is cleared, who just said that he's going to take this whole company by storm. Like you're 100% right. There is 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it's
5,
like 8.
6 guys. There was 9 total. There's 6 guys who had no business being in this match. Like even Pac, which we said we want to see more of him. Like he's just been on a giant losing streak. Like now he's going to be in the number one contendership match. Like, come on, guys. I know winning and losing don't really matter. And if he was one of the guys in here that gets like a surprise elimination just to kind of build him up a little bit more, I'm with you. Takeshita, why isn't he in this match?
Why was Takeshita in there? Why was Jay White in this match? Like if you're going to have 2 of your champions, why aren't all of your champions in it? You've got 9 titles. You can put them all in there. Really break ground. Bring your women's champion in there.
That'd be dope.
I'm not saying that you have to do this, but what I'm saying is if you're going to have odd champion, have all your champions in there. Maybe not have Mercedes in there because 1, she just got cleared to wrestle, and 2, she's got a match later. But have Toni Storm in there.
Yes. Toni Storm would have kicked some ass.
She would have. She would have thrown her shoe at somebody. I don't know. Once again, this match just doesn't do it for me. I was trying not to rant about it. We still ranted about it. I know what I did. I know who I am.
Well,
I know what I like, and a lot of times it's dogs playing poker and a painting. This makes about as much sense as that.
We just we want the believability. Like that's what it is. Or tell me tomorrow that Ospreay is part of the Elite. We set up a match for him to get the world title in a match that we knew he'd win. Cool. I'm in. That was brilliant. What a great match. Like, I'm so happy they did it that way. Because that's diabolical, and I dig that. But that's not what's going to happen. We have 2 baby faces going for the world title.
We have the 2 biggest baby faces going after the world title. Which means what? So is one of them going to be a heel by the end of this? Probably not.
Swerve can go heel for a night.
Swerve can go heel totally. What I'm saying is he's not going to be a heel.
I mean, Mercedes went heel for the night.
Tony
does it all the time.
Mercedes went heel for 3 months.
Not really. She was a face until the contract signing.
That's right.
Which was the week before.
All right. So moving on. She was
getting jumped by Sky Blue.
Yeah, but apparently Sky Blue was jumping other people too, allegedly.
What?
Allegedly. Oh man. Okay, so Ospreay wins this gauntlet. He's now the number 1 contender. Upon becoming the number 1 contender, he also still has to defend his international title. He has a match with Kyle O'Reilly, who's won a grand total of maybe 1 match since he's come back from injury from near career-ending injury, one match. Was there a chance that Kyle O'Reilly was going to win this match just so that they could get the title off of Ospreay, so that we could say, hey, we're going to, at least he's not holding two titles?
I could have seen it happen. Like, with everything we've said so far, I could have seen Kyle O'Reilly go over. He didn't, but I could have seen
not.
He
did not.
He didn't win.
To go along with this whole storyline, angle, whatever they're doing with this, Roderick Strong complained to Tony Khan that he was actually supposed to be the last man in the gauntlet, and pitches him, which again, this goes against everything that we were talking about with Christopher Daniels. If Tony Khan is there, how is he not the man in charge?
Just move on. Don't be a dead horse. It's already dead.
But he was there. Okay, fine. But so he goes to Tony Khan personally and says, I was supposed to be the last guy there. We get along because we're both wearing neck braces. Give me because we both wore neck braces. I think I deserve a match against Swerve next week on Dynamite. And Tony Khan, who is not supposed to be having any power at this point, makes the damn match. Here's the thing. Am I upset about having a match again with Roderick Strong versus Swerve Strickland? No, not at all, because I think it's going to be an awesome match. But this goes back to what you were saying about parameters. Where are they? You are setting a precedent that there are no rules. This is anarchy. Not anarchy in the arena, just actual anarchy.
I will say, I absolutely love the amount of title defenses that Swerve has. I really dig that he's always fighting, and he's maybe they're not all title defenses, but he has a lot of matches since he's been champion, and I really do like them parading out their champion. It's always like a weird mid card match, which really drives me nuts. He should be the main event of these things, or the first match of the night, which they've done, I believe. But they did
it right after he won the title. Right after he won the title, he did a first night, first match,
and they tried to do the Joe versus Swerve before the. Oh no, that was Joe versus Dustin Reynolds.
Yes, Dustin Rhodes against for a title eliminator, which we'll get more into those later.
Last name. But yeah, like, so I dig it. Like, if he's the first match of the night, you have the world champion come out, defend his title, first match of the night. I'm cool with that. Make it the main event. Don't slot him in the sloppy middle. It's degrading. It's unbecoming of the champion.
And he's constantly trying to put on these banger of matches. And I'm not saying he shouldn't put on a good match, but even like Kyle Fletcher should not be on the same level as your world heavyweight champion. They could have had a 7-minute match that was good, and you gave some spots to shine to Fletcher, and it would have been better off than what they did, which was they went and had a really competitive match, which for anyone who watches indie wrestling, that sounds great, right? Like that's always what you want, is you want to have the match of the night every night on the indies. The problem is this isn't the indies. This is national television. This is supposed to be the big leagues, and that's not the way it works anymore. Like, you have to, you're diminishing how you're presenting your world champion if you have someone who is an opener to a mid-carder giving him a really, really hard match. Having him have a hard match against Samoa Joe makes sense. Samoa Joe's a main eventer. Having him have a hard match against Christian Cage makes sense. Main eventer. Having him have a hard match against Adam Copeland, against even one of your other champions, against a Roderick Strong or Will Ospreay, all of that makes sense.
Claudio, established guys, Claudio that you know is going to take him to the mat.
Bryan Danielson.
Pac, I'm okay with that. Even Pac,
because you've established that Pac is supposed to be a contender, even though he's not.
Yeah,
I get all of that. Having him have a 15-minute match or whatever it was against your Ring of Honor television champion, who no one really knows who this guy is unless you're a smart mark, doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's where my issue lies with it.
Build your champion.
Build your
Simple as
champion.
that. Like now, like Osprey has been built. And he even goes a little toe to toe, like bell to bell, with some people where he doesn't need to. But like, but I feel like Osprey's been built better than Swerve is. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that Osprey is going to win this match right now. I might change my mind later. I hold that ability to change my mind. But I think that if he does, if Swerve retains, it's due to shenanigans.
So I'm gonna throw this one at you because they love, again, to go with your shenanigans. They love to do these types of shenanigans. Does Roddy get this match to become a three-way match between Roderick Strong, Swerve, and Osprey, so that you can at least extend this to hopefully Wembley? Like, I don't understand the idea of having this huge babyface not go after the title at Wembley when he's from England.
I want to answer this next week after you see the Swerve Strong match. Because if something happens where it gets DQ'd, other people get involved, whatever it is, you get no contest. That's when I think you get a three-way. But like the way they've been doing this, it's just they'll set up this match for next week. Swerve will win, a bell-to-bell contest, and then we'll move on to the next challenger. Did you see that the man who gives back to the fans the most has again made the sacrifice of no longer being commentary on Rampage so we can get more Chris Jericho on Dynamite and Collision? Like, what a selfless act.
I hate you.
Because you can't really see him when he's doing the commentary. But, when he's right there in the middle of the ring, teaching us, showing us the way. It's
the whole way.
Really. The whole way.
And now he's got another talk show. I'm just waiting for him to get a new Jerichon 4000 or whatever it is.
I just want a new list. Either a move list, a person list,
or put you on the list. I missed that gimmick. Yep. That was the gimmick I liked the best.
You're on the list. No, I personally liked the Man of 1,004 moves, and he had the moves. Like that was brilliant.
I wouldn't mind seeing that again. The Man of 1,004 moves. I'm still the one saying Jericho's one of those guys that I need him to go away for a little while.
I think this is building towards that. I think this is his way of doing it on his own terms rather than the fans booting him out. And I'm all for it. Obviously, I'm being playful and being silly right now, but it's really funny at the same time. Like the way he takes these angles, the way he makes it seem like he's doing it for everybody else and not himself. Even when they're like, "Please retire." And he's like, oh, thank you, because the minute I retire, I'm going to enter all of these Hall of Fames, and I'll just be a legendary wrestler, on Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. It's like, it's really nice of you to want that for me now, but I'm not quite ready for it. Shit's brilliant.
I'm going to say this. If by some chance, in like the bluest of hells, they get the IWGP title on Chris Jericho, I don't know what I'm going to do, because it puts him in a real elite status. No pun intended this time. But like, he'll have been the only guy to have held the WCW World title, the WWE World title, the Undisputed title, the Ring of Honor title, the AEW title, the FTW title, if you want to count it as some type of world championship, and then the IWGP title. He's kind of in his own grouping at that point, and it's I don't know. I don't know what you do with it.
He's held the Intercontinental Championship, but never.
Yeah, he's one of like 3 guys to have held the WWE Intercontinental and the IWGP Intercontinental. It's like him, MVP, and Shinsuke.
Shinsuke.
have all held the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. MVP was actually the first IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Which, if we're counting,
you heard it here first.
Counting IC title reigns, that just furthers Jericho's record of like 10 or something like that. Like he's like, if you count the IWGP one on top of it, he's had like 10 IC title runs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm moving on from Jericho. I know you love him. You'll always love him.
Listen, we can save him for later. It's cool. Well,
I'm just saying, I've sat under the learning tree enough for this episode.
Get pulled into the vortex, bud.
It keeps happening. All right, this time, I'm not letting you talk me out of my rant. I am god awful.
Stopped you?
No, you didn't really stop me last time. In fact, I think you kind of encouraged it a little bit.
Sometimes rant's got a rant.
I'm ranting my best life right now. Listen, can we just stop the eliminator matches, the title eliminator matches? Just have number one contender matches. These are stupid. They're stupid. It's the dumbest thing I've ever had, especially since the champion wins it every time. What are we doing? We're not setting up intrigue with it. Takeshita lost to a one-arm Moxley. Immediately after that, Rocky Romero. So I've heard the rumor is Takeshita has roots with DDT wrestling in Japan, and that's why IWGP doesn't want him anywhere near that belt. That's fine. The problem is you're defending it on AEW television, and you should have given it to Takeshita, not had him lose to one-arm Moxley. It's fine. Like you said, he'll be a world beater next week. Yeah. Rocky Romero, who has a great working relationship with the IWGP or with New Japan, also loses an eliminator match. Why are we still having these eliminator matches? Why are we doing this? Why are we not just having 2 or 3 guys or 4 guys have mini tournaments even? Hey, these 2 guys are going to wrestle, and these 2 guys are going to wrestle, and then the winners of both of those are going to wrestle, and that's the number one contender for blah, 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 one of the 17 titles that they have in AEW right now. By the way, I'm not exaggerating. It might be 17 titles at this point. But instead, we keep doing these stupid title eliminators. We were interested in.
I agree.
We were interested in the title eliminator with Dustin Rhodes, right? Until he got the hell knocked out of him.
He should have won it, even with Swerve's interference at the time or whatever. He should. That's the thing. If you're going to do these eliminator matches, figure out ways for the challenger to win. Even if you want to, keep your champion strong, let them beat him clean. When they actually face for the title on the line means that there's higher stakes. People raise to the next level. When you have these eliminator matches where it's already hard enough to beat the champion, that have them get counted out, have them walk out.
That's what I'm saying.
Do something.
Have something where the champion makes a mistake he wouldn't normally make, and when the title's on the line, have them tease the same thing, and he doesn't make the mistake that time. Have some with the Dustin Rhodes Samoa Joe match. It's a prime example of you could have done it. You could have done something where Samoa Joe was gonna run at Dustin while he was at the turnbuckle on the outside. Dustin moves out of the way, immediately rolls in the ring, and you get a 10 count on Joe, and he wins the match. And now you've got a world title match. And you tease it the next time, and Joe goes to do it, and he doesn't hit the post, and he just wins. I'm fine with that, but you build more intrigue. But we're getting eliminator matches for the AEW title. We're getting eliminator matches for the IWGP title. We're getting eliminator matches for the Ring of Honor title. We're getting eliminator matches for all of these different titles. But we're not getting any actual number one contenders out of it.
Or if you're just going to put over the champion every time, just make them title matches.
Just make them title matches.
Just make them title matches. It's the same result.
It's dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's actually doom. Yeah, I had to say it
Doesn't
wrong
work
because
as well
it's
as
that
confussed.
dumb. I don't care if it wasn't funny even more. See, I'm not even able to talk right now. I can't speak properly. That's how mad I am about this. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm not talking about that. We're going across the street. We're going to the other shows. We're going to the other company now. Let's talk about WWE.
Well, there's parameters.
At least WWE makes me happy. Sometimes they don't give me title eliminators. Sometimes.
Are you okay? Are you done with your temper tantrum?
Hold on.
This wasn't even a rant. This is a temper tantrum.
This was a temper tantrum.
We moved from rant to temper tantrum. Yeah.
I need to get it all out. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.